Hello everyone, it's me, Robert, back for another video. I know, it's been a while, etc, etc. Today, I am going to be talking about something that's re-energized my love of Transformers. And something that's just a breath of fresh air since the dull storytelling that Prime brought us over the past couple of years. No, I'm not going to be talking about Combiner Wars. No, I'm not going to be talking about Toy Fair. I'm not even going to be talking about More Than Meets the Eye and the great stories that are going on in that at the moment. I'm going to be talking about Transformers Robots in Disguise. Not the original series, which is really good, and I will make a video on that one day. No, the new one. Yes, because thanks to its early air date in Australia, the first 3 episodes have been leaked onto the internet in quite good quality actually, and I've watched them. Now, needless to say, when Transformers RID was first announced, I was a hater. I hated the summary of it, I hated when the first images were shown, I hated when the trailers came out. In fact, I hated the show up until a couple of days ago when I actually watched the first 3 episodes, and I take a lot of things back because I love the show. It is brilliant. It's just so refreshing after the big letdown of Prime, because yeah, I hated where Prime went, to be honest. I'm going to insult Prime fans, but it was really quite bad. And these 3 episodes are better than probably the entirety of Transformers Prime. Oh, jeez. Haters are going to start commenting, aren't they? No. But, yeah, it's just such a welcome relief of good storytelling. And it gives me so many Transformers Animated vibes. It's unbelievable. Now, Transformers Animated is one of my personal favourite Transformers series. So you can see why I quite like this new show. But enough of me blabbering about on. Let's actually get on and talk about the show. I've got my notes. I've got a cup of tea. Let's have a talk, a discussion, a review, an overview, whatever you want to call it. Lovely tea. About Transformers RID. So, the plot of RID. Well, we start off on Cybertron, which is prospering. Yes, you heard me right. Cybertron is a living world. It's a civilization. There are tons of bots living on it, and it's a flourishing place. It's brilliant. I love the concept that Cybertron is actually inhabited and has built this huge civilization up. It's brilliant. I am fed up of Transformers series showing Cybertron as a dead husk. I really am sick to death of it, to be honest. Most Transformers series up until this point have just shown Cybertron as kind of, here's a dead husk, deal with it. But RID just gives us a lovely, refreshing sort of look. And again, animated vibe, it's really similar to Transformers Animated, because in that, Cybertron was a prospering world. And it's full of bots. It's brilliant. So, the first 2 bots we encounter is Bumblebee, who I really should call Hotshot, but I'll get onto that later, who is a cop. Yeah, he's a cop. It's awesome. I love the role of him. Up until now, Bumblebee's character has just been so plain and boring. In Prime, he was an annoying scout with bleep blop bloops. In the movies, he was just that really annoying, awkward bot. And in G1, he was just like their hey guys, I'm a little guy, look at me, sort of dude. In Transformers RID, he is a cop, and his character has changed a lot. I love this new interpretation of Bumblebee. It just suits the character so well. Finally, I have a reason to actually like Bumblebee. And he's joined by his recruit, who's Strongarm, and I love the interaction between these two. It's almost like an 80s sort of cop series. You have the hard nut sort of officer that's been on the role for ages, and then you've got his young sort of rookie who's really naive and wants to learn everything about the job. And it's kind of the same here. It's brilliant. It kind of reminds me, in a kind of less dark way, of the relationship between Bullock and Gordon in Gotham, but obviously it's not violent as hell. Well, Gotham's coming back soon. But no, yeah, I absolutely love the character of Strong Arm as well. She's quite cool, and I will get onto more of the characters later. So yeah, they're heading to a disturbance in Cybertron, and they actually find out that it's Sideswipe racing around a shrine to Optimus Prime. Now, Sideswipe is kind of what you'd expect. He's a hot-headed, sort of young bot who's sort of breaking the rules. But more importantly, a shrine to Prime. Because in the series, Prime is dead. Thank fuck. I'm just saying this now. It's not because I'm such a Decepticon fan. I'm a loyalist to Megatron. Hail. I am fed up of Optimus Prime being the leader of the Autobots, or the Autobot group that the series focuses on. It's just such a welcome relief to know that he's dead. It really is, and I've just probably upset a crap ton of people. But no, it really is good. I like the new take on it. But the downside to that is it's the only thing that links RID to Prime, because apparently RID is a continuation of Transformers Prime. It's not. It really isn't. You watch the series, it really isn't. I mean, the only thing that connects it is Optimus, because I kind of see RID in its own little universe of its own, away from the horribleness of Transformers Prime. Ugh, I'm not going to associate that series with this, because they're just different calibre of writing, to be honest, and storytelling. But no, it's quite a shock to find out that actually, you know, Prime's not going to be a main character in this, and I'm just thinking to myself, yes, thank you. So while Strong Arm catches Sideswipe, Bumblebee starts to have visions of Optimus Prime, showing him a way to Earth and telling him that he needs to get there as soon as possible, which only Bumblebee can see, which leads to some really hilarious scenes. And that's another thing about the series. It has humour, people. It's a Transformers series that has humour and knows how to do it properly. It knows when to make a joke and when not to. It knows how to make a joke. It's not Transformers Prime where everything's so bloody serious. It's brilliant. It really is. I love the humour of it. It just makes this show even fun. Even more fun. That's not even a word. You know what I mean. But it's just such a welcome relief. And I will talk about humour later on. And it's another thing, really. The show doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows that it's a kid's show, but it still has fun with that and plays around with that. And I like it. I don't like it when shows or comic books take themselves too seriously. Although, saying that, it can create some great stories, but in this case, it's the fun aspect that works for RID. So yeah, B then heads off to a Cybertronian museum, because guess what, people? This is a civilization, they have museums. You know, crazy as the thought is of seeing a Cybertronian museum. Did I say prison? I meant museum. It's just bizarre. And in there he finds the only remaining space bridge, or so we're led to believe. It's never really stated, but of course it's in the style of a Transformers Prime ground bridge, which is another thing that links it to Prime, but I'll overlook that. But he's followed by Strong Arm and Sideswipe, who are actually now handcuffed together, and through a hilarious scene, which I'm not going to spoil, but it does involve two security guards and B, all three of them eventually end up on Earth. And yeah, you have to go and watch it. If you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. It has to be the highlight of the first episode. It's quite cool. Meanwhile, on Earth, we're actually introduced to our human characters. The only human characters in this, which there's only two of them. Yeah, there's only two human characters in this Transformers series. Thank God! Oh, I am sick to death of having a large human cast in the Transformers series. Now, obviously, that could change as the series goes on, but I hope not, because such nice, and they're not even annoying as well. They're actually human characters that have a purpose, and they have meaning to the show, and they're not annoying in any way, shape, or form. They're not a Miko from Prime. They're not that annoying, and they're not sort of the Armada guys. But they are Denny Clay and his son Russell. Now, Denny is a scrap dealer who owns a scrapyard, and his son, who the parents are split up, has come to visit him and doesn't want to be treated like a child anymore, despite his father sort of treating him like one. And I'll talk more about the characters and their relationships later, but needless to say, these human characters are probably the most human characters we've got in a Transformers series so far. Although that's not really saying much, because if giant robots were to land in front of you and start brawling out, you wouldn't then actually jump inside one when it transforms into a car. You would run away screaming like a little girl. So, you know, Transformers can only get so realistic. Meanwhile, Bumblebee and Strongarm let loose Sideswipe, who runs off into Earth and wants to be free. So they give chase and eventually come across a crashed prison ship, the Alcamon, which is piloted by one Minicon, Fix-It. Now, Fix-It is one of the funniest and best characterizations of a Minicon I have ever seen. As much as I love Minicons in Armada, they had zilch characters. They went bleep, blop, bloop for most of the series, and then when they did talk, it was just a really plain and emotional, Rad, help us, we're dead. It was just, But Fix-It, my word, Fix-It is brilliant. He has to be one of my favourite characters, Autobot-wise, in the show. He just brings so much life. And the fact that he keeps malfunctioning every time he says certain words is fantastic. You've probably seen it in the trailers, but it's funnier when you watch it in the series. And he tells them that actually all of their inmates have escaped and are now running amok on Earth, which means tons of Decepticons on Earth. Which is obviously bad for the show, but I like it when they have a huge Decepticon cast. A good con makes a good show, in my opinion, and I'll talk more about that later. So, as they're sort of talking, Russell, while he's venturing through the woods, meets Sideswipe for the first time in quite your typical sort of boy meets giant robot car scene. But it's then added a new twist, because that's the first time we then get to see the first Decepticon, Underbite, who is the kind of, what do you call him? I don't know, a beast, a purple beast of some description that you've seen in the trailers. And I will talk more about Underbite, but needless to say, his character is much better than was portrayed in the trailers. But yes, that whole scene is pretty cool, because both of Sideswipe and Russell sort of react to each other, and then they both react to seeing Underbite, and then they run off as Russell gets into Sideswipe and they chase off into the woods. Which again, it's a Transformers series, people. Realism, you're not going to run away screaming, are you? Because it wouldn't make for a good show, but it's still awesome. Like this cup of tea. So yeah, Russell and Sideswipe eventually catch up with the others at the wreckage of the ship. However, Underbite follows them there, and as Underbite begins attacking, this is when we're introduced to our next character, Grimlock. Now, brace yourselves, people, because this may be a shock for some of you, but Grimlock in the series is a con. He is a Decepticon. And that just puts a huge smile on my face, people. I couldn't care less about Grimlock in any other Transformers series, show, fiction or media, with the exception of Fall of Cybertron, until now. RID has made me care about Grimlock, and I'm sorry, Stu, if that's quite insulting. I can't give two craps about the character. His G1 appearance and character was just plain and boring, and I just don't like the Dinobots. But in RID, Grimlock is awesome, and as Underbite is fighting them, Grimlock breaks out of one of the cells because he was a prisoner on the ship, and starts to fight Underbite because he loves to smash things. And you get this sort of nice grudge match between the two of them. It's quite a good scene. So yeah, the rest of the episode then kind of leads off on there as Underbite discovers the scrapyard. The Autobots are then introduced to Denny, and they stop Underbite from consuming a whole city because he's a chomps. I cannot remember the word they use now, but it's fucking brilliant. Chompazoid! Chompazoid! I love it! He's a Chompazoid, which means every time he consumes metal, he gets more stronger. So they have to try and stop him from consuming a whole city. And eventually, throughout the episode, they stop him to a point. However, at the very end of the episode, he's too powerful for them to stop. And he's only stopped when he gets pushed off a cliff and falls unconscious in the canyon below by Optimus Prime. Now, this is the one thing of the series so far that I'm unsure about, because of how they could use the character. Prime is then revealed to us as a ghost. Prime is a ghost. Think Generation 1 Starscream, but with Prime, he's a ghost. It's kind of weird, you know? I just don't get it. But I can see it's growing on me slightly. However, my main concern is that they will use Prime's ghost as a kind of a fail option. So say at the end of the first series, the Decepticon threat is overwhelming and the Autobots can't stop him. Oh look! Prime's ghost has turned up and saved the day! Yay! No, I really don't want that to happen. I like that the series focuses on these group of Autobots and not Prime. I don't want Prime in the series. And I've seen people commenting saying, oh, I hope Prime returns in Season 2. No! Why? I don't want Prime to return. I don't give a damn about Prime. This is not what the series is going for. It's not how the series has been made. It wouldn't work. It would just ruin the series, in my opinion. Although, the only time I would want to see Prime back as a ghost is in the very last episode, because then it would be a lovely bridge between the first and the last, and a nice sort of bridging of the series. He could appear, I don't know, when Bumblebee and the Autobots return to Cybertron with their prisoners, and he could say, like, well done, Bumblebee, but now I must return, or blah, 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 blah. But I really don't want him appearing every time they get into... They can't deal with a con. He just turns up and goes, hey guys, I'm here to help. But hey, you know, I hope not. Besides, the universe doesn't know what it's got, doesn't know what Prime is, so it just doesn't know what to do with it. He even says that in the show. But yes, that is kind of the first 2 episodes there, the pilot summed up. And at the very end of the second episode, Underbite's captured and put into a stasis cell, and Grimlock is actually put on probation, as he still wears the Decepticon symbol, but he's been put on probation because of helping the Autobots, which is brilliant, because I'm so looking forward to where this is going to take the character. I cannot wait, because what's going to happen when they come across a con who Grimlock used to be a friend with in his past? He'll then have to choose between his friend or the team, and it could lead to some really interesting possibilities. Plus, what happens at the end of the series then? Like, what happens once they've captured all the cons and they go back to Cybertron? Is Grimlock going to be chained up in a cell like the rest of them, or is he going to be let free of his charges? It's really interesting. I love thinking of possibilities of where they could possibly go with Grimlock. It excites me to no end. But yes, so as I said, that was the pilot. Overall, really good start to the series. It was a great first 2 episodes. Highly, highly recommend. But then, of course, you know that because I love the series so much. And then, of course, I did watch the 3rd episode, which was... I can't remember its name, but basically it goes to its normal style and format of what it's going to be from now on, which is there's a con on the loose, they have to stop it, but there's also sort of an underlying plot thread going throughout the series, as well as something they have to deal with in that episode. So for the episode 3, it's trust. They're dealing with trust issues, and they're becoming more of a team. They're doing trust exercises, which again leads to some really sort of funny scenes. And there's a kind of a whole thing between Strongarm and Sideswipe, because Strongarm's the one by the rules, and Sideswipe's just a let loose cannon. So those two have a really sort of funny time in that episode. But more importantly, we're introduced to 2 new Decepticons, one of which is Steeljaw. Is Steeljaw. Oh, how do I say this without fanboying everywhere? Because yeah. Steeljaw is one of my favourite Decepticons now, because, well, he's awesome. Needless to say, he's voiced by Troy Baker. Hell on earth, Troy Baker can pull off one mean ass sounding Decepticon. My word, Steeljaw is manipulating, he's scheming, he's just so evil. yet his voice just works so well with it. It's unbelievable. I love the character. There's a whole scene in the third episode where he's stringing along. He first encounters Strongarm as she's picking up a signal in the woods, and he tricks her into thinking that he's a prisoner on board the ship, prisoner guard on board the ship, and then that he actually wants to live in peace on Earth with the rest of his fellow cons. And you could just tell throughout the whole of the scene that he's just stringing her along, but enjoying it at the same time. I love his character. You have to go and watch the episode just for that scene. It's fantastic. Oh, love it. Still, I'm so looking forward to where Steeljaw's character is going to go, because he's the big bad Decepticon of the series, and I'm looking forward to what schemes he could possibly have up his sleeve. And we're also introduced to Hammerstrike, who is a shark that turns into a boat type thing. I'll talk more about Hammerstrike when we get onto the characters, but needless to say, he's pretty cool as well, and throughout the episode they eventually stop him, Bumblebee and Grimlock, while Sideswipe looks for Strongarm. It's a good episode, actually. Normally when a series starts, you have the pilot episode, which is really strong, and then the sort of episode 3 or episode 4 afterwards, it kind of becomes weak until the series picks up again, but not this. It has the same fun level of storytelling and just high quality of animation and characters that the pilot had. It does not wane in quality whatsoever. It's fantastic. So now, quickly, let's take a look at the characters. So, the characters then. Because, really, for RID, it's the characters, amongst many other things, that make the show. Unlike Prime, where it was the characters that was really the only thing that was kind of holding it together. I'm really sorry to keep bashing Prime for those of you who like it, but it just really was a big disappointment. RID, Bumblebee, or as I said earlier, Hotshot, because for me, Bumblebee's character in the show is a mix between Cybertron Hotshot and animated Prime. He has a lot of weight of responsibility on his shoulders, and it turns the character into something completely new, and it turns him into a leader. I thought I would never say this, but Bumblebee is a good leader in this show. He knows how to control his team. He knows how to get the best results from him. I compare his leadership in the series to that of Optimus Prime from Animated, who doesn't really want the responsibility of a leader, but takes it on anyway. And my predictions for the character as the series goes on is that he's going to become more of a leader like Prime in, say, Generation 1 or many other continuities. And I can see a lot of development for Bumblebee as he goes on. But yeah, he is... It's probably one of the best interpretations of Bumblebee in my opinion. As I said before, just previous ones haven't done it at all. Especially Prime. And also, the voice actor, I don't know his name, but is brilliant. And really, the voice acting in general for RID is up to a high quality. I kind of associate it with the high quality that Animated did. Again, I know I'm comparing it to Animated, but this has so many similarities. It really does, and voice acting is one of them. All the voices are so clear and so well done. Really good. Strongarm, the young, the naive rookie type who looks up to Bumblebee, almost like Bumblebee looks up to Prime in another series. It's quite bizarre, but I like it. And as the series develops, hopefully we'll actually see her character sort of come out in herself and not rely on others or not look up to others and become her own bot, as she will. She's still quite a fairly prominent character in terms, even though she's a female, and that's not being sexist, that's just Transformers female characters up until now have generally been not that great. They haven't had very strong characters. There are a few exceptions to that, and Strongarm is one of them, but it's just a general theme with Transformers, don't know why. But no, Strongarm is a really strong character, and hopefully as the series goes on we'll actually see her step out of her rules and regulations, because there's another thing, she always quotes rules and regulations, almost like... I was trying to think of a comparison, and it's kind of Sentinel Prime-ish, but without the jerkness and without the chin. Very by-the-book person, and hopefully she'll relax as the series goes on. Fix-It, that hyperactive minicon that I talked about earlier, who I absolutely love. Again, one of my favourite Autobot characters from the series. However, there is one scene in the pilot which is quite interesting actually. Fix-It is just ranting on about stuff, and it actually bores Sideswipe so much that Sideswipe just goes off. And I can see that sort of becoming a thing, that Fix-It is just kind of the small bot that everyone has to put up with. Kind of a bit of a loner, to be honest. I hope not, because I like Fix-It so much. But hopefully, like, he'll actually develop into be more of a major part of the team, because the one thing else that I suppose, if I'm supposed to be reviewing this fairly, I have to criticise somewhere. And the one thing is that in the pilot, Fix-It didn't really get involved that much. He kind of told them where everyone was, but he and gave them weapons to sort of deal with the con, but never actually got involved. Now, I know he's only a mini-con, but still, it would be nice to see him. And from the clips of the future episodes, it looks like he does. So hopefully, as the series goes on, he'll become more prevalent in the team. And I also kind of predict that him and Russell are going to get along, almost like Sari and Bumblebee in animated. I kind of can see that relationship going on, because A, Fix-It is about the size of a human, but B, he's also the most relatable out of all of the Autobots, and the ones that the humans could relate to the most. Although I could be wrong, who knows? I'm excited to find out. These are all just theories of mine that could happen for these characters, but it's just so interesting to see what could happen. Sideswipe. Sideswipe for me is just animated Bumblebee. He's young, he's reckless, he's hot-headed, he's naive to an extent, but he's also a character in himself, because he is a criminal, essentially. He's a thug on Cybertron when we first meet him. And I am so looking forward to seeing how that plays later on, because there are more Autobots that are going to be coming into the series. And how is that going to relate, having a potential criminal on their team? And what happens when they get back to Cybertron? All these questions are sort of floating around in my head, and I love it. I love that a pilot and another episode can just do that to me. That's a sign of a good show, people. That really is. It makes me think. It makes me come up with all these possibilities. It makes me smile. It really does. But yeah, hopefully as the series go on, he'll develop into much more of a mature character and become a bit less hot-headed and more sort of responsible, I think is the word. And we kind of get to see that in episode 3, when he's sort of, at the end, him and Strongarm have a bit more of a friendlier relationship. But there's still a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to that. Now, Grimlock I've talked about a lot in the plot. However, his actually has a normal voice. Yeah, he's voiced by... Oh, and the name is completely gone. However, I think he voiced Cyborg in a DC movie or cartoon series. Don't ask me. No, I'm still fairly new to DC. But he does actually have a proper voice. It's not, me Grimlock King, me stupid character. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, he is slightly dumb as well, which I don't mind, actually. I was moaning about Grimlock's character in G1 earlier, but that's because he was just too thick. There is a point when you can get a character becoming too thick and you just lose interest in him. But Grimlock in this is actually interesting to watch, and he's the source, and probably the main source in the cartoon, of the humour. He's the one that comes out of most of the jokes and the gags, and I like it. I do like it. Whereas Grimlock's before, when trying to make jokes, just kind of felt a bit awkward and just a bit improvised. Here it actually flows nicely and works in the context of the storyline. Russell and Denny, the two humans. Humans have been a bane in Transformers series up until now. You look at all Transformers series, and one of the big flaws that people will point out of any of them is the humans. However, in RID, the humans are actually interesting. They have a point. They're not annoying. They don't act out of character at all. And there is a really nice relationship between Denny and his son Russell. And it's something that we hardly ever see in Transformers, this sort of father-son relationship. Normally it's either a bunch of kids, or a kid and his mum, or just a kid on his own. It hasn't been since Generation 1 with the Spike and Daniel thing that we actually got the father-son relationship. And there's also a kind of hint of animated with the Sumdax in there. It's nice, it's good to see. Again, it just makes the show even more refreshing in my eyes. And I really hope that they are the only humans in the show. I have a theory, and a worrying theory, that they might introduce more human characters as the show goes along. I hope not. I really hope not. I don't mind humans being in it as sort of a side character in certain episodes. Say if a con's attacking, I don't know, an oil refinery, there's some workers there that have to flee from the scene, or there's some guy that helps them out, but it's like a one-off guy. I don't want more main human characters, because it would just ruin the show, in my opinion. The show works as it is now, and works with the possibilities that this setup can do. But by adding more humans into the mix, it saturates the show. Look at Prime. Look how many goddamn humans there were in that. One of the biggest bugbearers of the show of Prime for me is the bloody human cast, because it just got to a point where, yeah, I don't care about the humans anymore, but I have to keep watching them because they're in every single bloody episode and take up more probably screen time overall than the bots. But that's probably not true. That's me exaggerating. But no, I like the humans. They're good. Want to see more of them. Underbite, the cons, because I've talked about Steeljaw, Steeljaw. Sorry, get back on topic. My words, stop daydreaming about Steeljaw. Underbite, who is the first Decepticon we see, who has a Southern American accent and actually talks, whereas in most of the trailers beforehand, he was kind of set up as a beast with primal instincts that didn't really have much intelligence. But that's not true at all. His character is completely different. I love it. He's a southerner, I suppose you call it. I don't want to try and insult anyone here, but he's got a Southern American accent. He's very sort of proud of his muscles and how beefed up he is, and every time he eats he kind of gets stronger, and you can tell that that's part of his personality. But he also loves his claim to fame, which is that he ate an entire city on Cybertron. He ate an entire city. This is just one of those bits of RID, one of the bits of humour that I love, because the show at those points just goes, yeah, you know what, we're not taking ourselves seriously. Why not? Why not? Let's have a con that's just eating a whole city. Why not? It's so cool. Oh, it's funny. And I do hope that he returns. From certain images I've seen, it looks like he does, because it looks like Steeljaw's up to no good. Rounding up cons. It's going to be bad. Let's talk about Hammerstrike, the last real big major character I have to talk about, because the other ones hasn't been introduced yet. Hammerstrike is, as I said before, a shark. He's actually a Sharkticon. Yeah, you heard me right. He's a Sharkticon. That's awesome. Obviously, he's not under the control of the Quintessons. It's not a G1 Sharkticon. But I still like them using the name because it fits. And apparently on Cybertron, he was a pirate. Not a kind of R pirate with a eye patch over him and a sort of West Country accent, you know. And he actually doesn't look like that in the show or speak like that. But I just have images now of him being a Captain Shark-esque character. If you've watched Brave, you'll know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it'd be cool if we actually saw a backstory of him on Cybertron. His swashbuckling days as a pirate. oh, if only he turned into a space shark. No, stop it. I'm getting too into myself. But yeah, he hates land dwellers, so much so that he hates their smell. Brilliant. And he wants to turn the oceans into those that represent the ones on Cybertron, because he wants to rule the seas of Earth. And he's actually voiced, and this is the most interesting thing about the character, by David Kaye. I know. What? I did not know that until after I watched the episodes and actually looked it up and went, oh my word, it's David Kaye that voices it. You can't tell. I was watching it and you cannot tell that it's him because his voice is so completely different to anything that David Kay's done before. And in fact, his voice is kind of not what you picture for a shark. It's more of a, how do I describe it? Yes, I'm a mighty shark or something. It's not like that, but it's I can't do the voice. I'm shit at voices. But it's not what you'd expect, to say the least, and I like that. I like how the show is playing on people's expectations and just changing them completely. Again, another highlight of the show for me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to him returning, hopefully, because again, he's an awesome character. So far, the cons in this show are brilliant, and as I said earlier, it's the cons that make the show, in my opinion. So yeah, they're the main characters that we've been introduced to so far. However, there are some coming up. We have Jazz for the Autobots. We've got Drift. We've got Drift's mini-cons. There's more mini-cons coming into the show. We have a crap ton of Decepticons coming into the show. One that looks like a deer. Bisque, who's a lobster. Bisque. Fucking hell. What a name. Bisque. Bloody hell. Fracture is one of them. Chop Shop is another. Who else? There's quite a few. You can go online and find out all of them. And there are also 2 other Autobot characters that are making an appearance. But I'm not going to say that because I don't want to ruin it for people. If you want to know the full cast list, however, go and check out the TF Wiki because they've got it on there listed. And they've actually got who voice acts them as well. Because I think in Japan they've released the first 12 or 13 episodes. So they're way ahead. And you can go and watch them, but unless you speak Japanese or understand Japanese, then really just wait until they come out in Australia. And hopefully the links will keep popping up on the Transformers Facebook page. Hopefully, because I don't really want to wait until it's out in America, because it's not even out yet. It's what is it, March the 11th, 18th? I don't know. It's a couple of weeks yet until America gets it, and yet I've already seen the first 3 episodes thanks to Australia. So hey, you know, I don't mind watching them early. Also, one last thing to talk about, the soundtrack. Now, I don't normally talk about soundtracks when I'm talking about shows, but it just stood out for me as being really well done. It was there, it's very bassy, it's very heavy in parts, but then also light in others when it needs to be. And the Decepticons melody that they've got going on is fantastic. Hopefully, if I've edited this properly, then at the beginning of this video you might hear some of that. Who knows, my editing is meh these days. But yeah, that was really it. RID is a fantastic series. It's, and I'm going to say this with intrepidation, it is for me the successor to Animated. And I don't say that lightly, because Animated is a show that for me holds a lot in my heart. And saying that about a show is high praise indeed from me. Go and watch it, people. Really. Yeah, I know the toys are bad. It just happens to be. With Prime, the show was bad, yet the toys were good. It just happens that way. But watch the show, because it is good. It's so refreshing. It's what we need as Transformers fans. In my opinion. You might completely disagree and hate it because it's too childish. But it's not really too childish. It's fun, you know? Yeah, Animated was a bit childish, but that still has a huge following now. So hopefully this will do as well. I really want RID to do well because I love it so much. And with that, I will end this video. Thank you for watching, everyone. Go and watch RID. Links will be on the Transformers Facebook page. And I really should be making more videos, shouldn't I? Dave, you know, I will get around to explaining why I haven't been making videos, because that came up in a comment the other day. And also, the Transformers Complete Allspark Almanac is coming out. So, yeah, that might be interesting to talk about when it comes out, because that's going to have some new stuff in. Even though I've got every single piece of the Allspark Almanac out to date, I'm still going to buy it because it's awesome. And so should you. And on that note, I will end. Goodbye, everyone. enjoy your day.